Hey guys, Ike here from Mike'sOutdoors.com. Here today to do a review on FOBs. Okay, FOB stands for Fletching Only Better. And this right here is what a FOB is. It's this little cylinder here with some blades inside of it. And it mounts to your arrow in place of your vanes. So this is what is going to guide your arrow as it's speeding toward your target. This is kind of an ironic twist that we're doing this video 10 years after we started doing YouTube, because this is the very first product that we ever did a YouTube video on. Back in 2009, when we were still running an archery shop, the inventor of these, and I'm going to get his name wrong here probably, but I think his name was Paul Morris, or Paul Morrison, approached us about carrying these FOBs in our shop, and we wanted to test them out before we decided to carry them. So we went out and we tested them out, and while we did it, we videoed it. We decided to put that video on YouTube so that people who were visiting our website for the shop could see how the FOBs performed in the video, and that ended up being the start of our YouTube page, Ike's Outdoors. So we owe that a little bit to FOBs and to Paul for getting us started on that with these FOBs. So like I said, it stands for Fletching Only Better. Paul was an aerodynamic engineer. I may have that title wrong, but he designed these specifically to take places of your fletching. These are easy to install. You can see this one is installed right here. I have a blank arrow shaft. All you have to do is pop out your nock, take your nock out. This has got a side that's got an open on it, and this has got a side that's got a little shelf on it. The open side goes on there, the shelf stops it, and then you pop your nock in. And I'm getting ate up by mosquitoes out here. I need to go get my thermocell. Pop my nock in, and it's good to go. It's ready to shoot. The idea of these is to do a couple different things. It's designed to be easy to install, so you can install it in just a couple seconds, just like that. No glues or anything like that. Easy to install, easy to replace if you should have to replace it. It's also supposed to be less crosswind, less effect in a crosswind, and it's designed to stabilize any broadhead just like your fletchings or traditional vanes would do. The other thing that's really cool about this is as you shoot it through a target, this will actually, if it goes through the target and gets a complete pass through, or it goes through the target enough that it will pop the FOB off, and it'll throw it a little ways, but you can tell then where your target was standing, where your deer or animal was standing when you shot this, when this arrow went through it. So I like that aspect of it. We're going to test that out and see how that works. It comes with you get a dozen of these when you buy them, and it comes with, my dog's barking at the neighbor, it comes with this tester right here. Now with this tester, you're going to have to test and make sure you got an 1/8 of an inch of clearance all the way around between your strings and cables and your actual, if you got a bar across the top of your rest, you're going to need to make sure you have clearance with this tester before you shoot these, or they're going to hit your rest and actually pop off. Now on the subject of rest, these are only to be used with a drop away rest. They say they can be used with any drop away rest, but they have a list of rests on their website that they prefer. I don't know if they work better with those or if they've got some kind of affiliation with them, but those are the rests that they recommend. We're going to be using a ripcord something. I've got so many ripcords I don't know which one's which, but I've got a ripcord on my bow, and we're going to be using the ripcord. These are available for a wide variety of arrows. I think the only arrow they said that these won't fit is one of the Black Eagle brands, but these come in your standard, your H-axis, your X-axis, micro, and that's what I have on here. These fit my deer crossing SD Hunter arrows absolutely perfect. Got a nice tight fit on there. These also come in a variety of colors. They come in orange, green, white, yellow, pink, blue, and black, I think. I'm pretty sure about those. I may have left one off. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over, I've got some arrows that still have vanes on them, so we're going to go over and we're going to do just an accuracy test to see if they shoot like my vanes and see how well they perform, as far as see if I have to make any kind of tuning adjustments to my bow or anything like that. I've already shot these out of my bow, so I know that they're going to clear. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to shoot this big old dirt nap broadhead out of it, see how well it steers this dirt nap broadhead, and we're going to find a piece of styrofoam or something that we can shoot through and just see if this thing pops off of there when we get a complete pass through, and kind of see how that goes. Now the other thing that I did notice on these is they can affect your anchoring position a little bit. Now as I anchor, when I come back to full draw, and when I come back to full draw, my hand sets right here under my ear, and you can see the fob sets right on my cheek. So it actually will push it out a little bit away from your face. I'm used to nestling that arrow right up against my face, so it pushes it out up against your face. If you anchor in a different position, it may actually contact your chin, or it may contact the back of your jaw or something like that. So that's something to take into account. And you may just feel weird having the thing setting next to your face, because it can feel a little bit weird just having that setting next to it. I didn't have any issues with it, and I don't know if it's just because I've shot them in the past, or if I'm just, you know, just a little more versatile when it comes to the feeling. But some guys have had issues with these things setting up next to their face on their nocking position. Now something else to consider with these is you may not be able to use a kisser button with these things depending on where you nock, because if you nock in a certain position, it may force this arrow out and your string out away from your face far enough that you can't actually get in there to your kisser button. So you may not be able to use a kisser button with these things either. So let's go over, we're going to break out my Obsession bow, and we're going to test these things for accuracy. We're going to test them with the broadhead, and we're going to test them for, we're going to see how they compare to our vanes. I can't test them in a crosswind because I'm in Missouri. We don't have a whole lot of wind. I'm in town. I've got buildings blocking the wind everywhere. So I really can't test them in a good strong crosswind like I'd like to. But we'll run them through a few tests and we'll see how they perform with what we can do. Okay, so I've got my Obsession bow out here, and I've run the tester on here already. Like I said, I've shot these FOBs already. So I know that this is going to clear. I've got a ripcord drop away rest on there, so everything is set up and functional. What I'm going to be aiming at is I'm going to be shooting from 30 yards, and I'm going to be aiming right here at this little blue spot right here. It's actually just my barbecue grill sits over there, and it's actually a rubber glove that I use to handle food that I just shoved up in there to give myself a little target. So if I get a bunch of arrows in there and they start stacking up and getting pretty tight group, I've got another one down here, and I've got another little spot of yellow over here. So those are the things that we're going to be aiming at. We're going to start right here first though, and we're going to be mixing up the vanes and the FOBs as we go. I just got them shoved in my back pocket here, and I'm just going to grab them at random, and we're going to see how they group and how they compare to the FOBs with the arrows with the FOBs on it and the arrows with the vanes on it. Okay, so you can see the two groups here, and you can see that my FOBs are actually shooting to the left, and that makes sense to me because the FOB's sitting on my cheek and it's actually forcing my string out to the right, so it's forcing the arrow to go a little bit to the left. But one thing that I'm noticing here is this group right here, all these arrows are touching. This arrow is touching or pushing vanes. This one's right underneath that one. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows in that bigger group. Over here I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arrows in that bigger group. So the grouping on these FOBs, at least for this particular shooting session, is not as tight as what it is with these vanes. So let's go back and let's shoot them again, and let's see if that was just me, or let's see if it is the FOBs that are causing it to just open up and they're not steering the arrow as well as what these vanes are. Okay, so this is a little bit more of an accurate representation of what my typical groups are at 30 yards. This is about what I normally get. That last group that I put up was just actually a really good group for me, but this is pretty typical of what I've been getting out of FOBs. I've been shooting these since Saturday, and it's Tuesday, and it seems like I have had no issues with the FOBs hitting each other. It seems like my group is actually opening up. You can see here, my group there is about that big. You can see here, my group here is much bigger. I can't even get my hand around them like I can this one. So we're going to a much bigger group, just for sanity's sake, to see what we can do. Again, let's do one more group with these FOBs versus the blazer vanes. Okay, I have always shot deer or 3D targets better than I've shot actual spot targets. So for this third and final group here, we're going to put our 3D deer up here and see what kind of groups we can get on it. Okay, so you can see there again for our group there. If I'm throwing this one out, which I feel was just a bad shot by me, they're pretty equal this time around. The FOBs may even be just a little bit better than what the vanes are. So first time I just put up a really good group with the vanes versus the FOB. But it's weird because I've noticed with the vanes at 20 yards and 30 yards, I get groups sometimes like that first one. More times more times than not, this is my typical group. You know, I get about a 3.5 to 4 inch group at 30 yards. With the FOBs, I'm getting that 4 to 4.5 inch group at 30 yards. But I have, even at 20 yards, I don't see the consistency in the grouping that I'm getting with just the blazer vanes that I've been shooting for the last couple of years. So now, does it open up enough that it's gonna cause me to wound an animal? You know, I don't know. Every one of these here are in a kill area right here. These are both high lung shots. These are both good, maybe top of the heart shots. So those are both lethal. Even this one here is still going to be a lethal shot on this deer. So even with that big group, they're still in that pie plate size kill zone. But as you extend it out further, and that's why I shot at 30 yards, was to get the biggest group that I could get, and that's as far as I can shoot. But as you extend this out further to 40, 50, 60 yards, how much is that group going to grow at that point versus the group that you can get with the vanes? So, you know, it kind of makes me doubt the steering ability of these and the grouping ability of these FOBs. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to see we're just going to do a pass through and see if these things will pop off and kind of test that little aspect of them. Alright, no problem getting it to pop off. Popped right off there and landed about 4 or 5 feet back behind the target. So no problem getting it to pop off. Okay, so this Obsession is Broadhead tuned with vanes on here with this dirt nap head. This is the exact same head I use on all of my Broadhead tuning, even if I'm using a mechanical head. So this FOB should shoot this dirt nap Broadhead the exact same way that it shoots with the vanes on here. So we're going to back up again to 30 yards and we're going to try this thing out and see how well we can hit. See if we can hit that elk right there somewhere on that hips target. Okay, so you can see there that it didn't stop it, it didn't go in real far, but I was able to push it right back out and straight out through the same hole. And what I ended up getting was, I was aiming for right here, so I ended up hitting about an inch high, maybe an inch and a quarter high at 30 yards. So I would be pretty happy with that. I wouldn't be expecting much different result with a set of blazer vanes or any kind of feathers or vanes on there than what I'm getting with these FOBs. Okay, so FOBs, Fletchings only better. Are they better? Kind of a toss-up. They perform equally good in several areas. I think what my accuracy issue is I'm so used to coming in and having an arrow laying next to my face that now I've got this FOB pushing it out just a little bit. I think that I'm having a little bit of a difficulty anchoring and getting a consistent anchoring spot, and that's why I'm throwing up a little bit larger groups than what I'm normally getting. We'll see if that's something that I can overcome and see if I can shrink those groups down. But as of right now, I'm just more comfortable shooting the vanes, and that's why I'm shooting a tighter group at 30 yards. I don't think it's really a performance issue with the FOBs. I think it's just a comfort issue with what I've been shooting for 25 years, you know. So it's something new to get used to, and it's setting right on your face, so it's a little bit discomforting to set, you know, to have that setting right there as you're shooting. So we'll see over time if I can get used to that and shrink those groups on that FOB. I have a feeling that I will be able to do that. It's just like, I'm shooting traditional bow now too, so it's just like shooting a traditional bow. You've got to learn those little different things, and you got to be able to adapt to them and give them a chance. So we'll give it a chance to see if we can shrink those groups. I really like the aspect of how easy this thing is to put on. Super easy to put on. It just pop your knockoff, put this thing on there, pop your knock back in, and you're ready to go. I like the fact that if I'm out in the backcountry somewhere, I can actually have extra ones of these in my bag, and if I lose one, I mess one up, I break one, pop a new one on, no glue, no fletching, nothing like that, and I'm ready to go. I also really like the aspect of it popping off. Now, is it going to give you an exact, this is where the deer was standing? No, it ain't going to do that. But what it's going to do is give you a really good idea of where the deer was standing, and should help you to narrow in on where that deer was standing when you shot it. And that, if you guys watched my videos in the past, to me, that is the key. If I can find where that deer was standing, and I can start finding some trails to it, then I can get on the blood trail and I can hopefully find that deer. But you have to be able to find where that deer was standing to be able to get on that blood trail initially anyway. So I really like the aspect of it popping off. Guiding the broadheads, no issues with that at all. I shoot a mechanical head most of the time, but this is what I tune my arrows with, and this is what I'm going to be shooting out of my recurve, which I don't shoot these out of a recurve either, but this is what I tune all my bows to, and it had absolutely zero issues steering this big dirt nap broadhead. One thing I should say, because talking about the traditional bow made me remember, if I didn't say it in the intro, is you can only shoot these with a drop away rest. So you can't shoot these with a containment rest like the Octane Hostage or the Whisker Biscuit or one of those containment rests like that. It has to be a drop away that will get out of the way for this thing to be able to clear it. So overall, I really am liking the FOBs. I'm really liking how easy they are and how well they're performing with me. I'm hoping I can get over that comfort, you know, get over that discomfort of having this thing set against my face. That is the one drawback that I have found on it, is just a little bit weird having that thing set against your face, and I think that's what's causing my groups to open up just a little bit. So we'll continue to give these things a try, and we'll continue to update probably on social media, Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, and it will show you how my groups shrink over the next few weeks, few months until season starts. May even do an update video on it as it gets closer to season, just to show you how those groups will either stay the same or if they'll shrink. But as of right now, I think that this is something I'm definitely going to give a shot, and I may even give it a shot during hunting season this year. I really think it's something that's going to be give me an advantage out in the field shooting deer, and having the advantage of being able to pop that thing off, being able to see it better. And I think it's going to look really good when you get a lighted knock on here and it glows, hits the inside of those fins and really lights those things up. So I really like that aspect of it too with the lighted knock. So check these things out. You can check them out at the link in the description below. You can also follow us on social media for updates on how we're doing with the FOBs. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, or you can check us out on our website. All of those, we are under Ike's Outdoors. Appreciate you guys watching.